We're now going to ask Richard about his up-to-date views on the SPL and Scottish football in general, but particularly the Scotland team, because we're sitting here the day before the clash with the old enemy and having just beaten Ireland 1-0 at Celtic Park. So what's your views on the recent eras of Scotland under George Burley, Craig Levein and now under Gordon Strachan?
Yeah, George, sadly, I mean, it was a shambles, largely. And that kind of came as a surprise because obviously George had a wonderful pedigree at Ipswich, did a magnificent job while he was allowed to at Hearts. And I remember being really quite encouraged when, and excited when George was appointed. It never quite worked out. Craig, I think, also had all the tools to do the job. Will forever be haunted, of course, by 4-6-0. And it's funny, I remember I'd gone across, I was doing the commentary, and I'd gone across the afternoon of the match just to have a chat with him and to get him to talk me through the team, which the managers generally will do. They're very helpful as long as you're not giving the team out. They'll trust you, they'll allow. And he talked it through, and he talked about how he saw the setup working. And actually, on the face of it, it seemed quite convincing, and I could understand the thinking behind it. But during the game, it just didn't work. I remember at one point, James Morrison, the ball was played out from our penalty area and James Morrison got it. And he was this side of the centre circle. And he turned to play it forward, and he was the most forward Scotland player, and at that point you just thought, it's not working. And of course, I mean, had we got the draw out of it, maybe people would have reflected more kindly on it. But that, I think that just set the scene. And of course, results didn't go the way that we were hoping for. And I think by the end, I mean, you know, Craig probably would accept himself it wasn't going to improve.
From the Tartan Army's perspective, I think the thing that annoyed the fans most about that was the sheer arrogance of the fact that he never ever really admitted, I got this wrong, I made a mistake, until he'd actually virtually left his position. You know, that was the bit that was really disappointing. If he'd held his hands up and say, I made a mistake, I got it wrong, then perhaps the fans would have been slightly forgiving about it.
Yeah, how many managers do you think would have done that?
Some would have, some would have.
Not so sure. Well, not sure there would be many. And Craig is, you know, he's a very proud, a very stubborn man.
I think that comes across.
He is, but he's, you know, he'd done a great job at Dundee United. I think he was the unanimous choice for the job at the time. I don't recall there being much in the way of dissent. So that, you know, it was another appointment that on the face of it should have worked, and just didn't quite. What he did do, I mean, he did bring in some of the players that are now making a real impact under Gordon Strachan. So he kind of played his part, but not the kind of part that he would have liked to play.
Good. So moving on to the Strachan era, a new dawn.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, it was always going to be difficult, but you know, he'd taken over. We were going nowhere essentially in terms of competitive matches, so it was all about just getting these games played. But I think what he used those games for, and more specifically the get-togethers, was to get to know the players and to get the players to know him. And there is a great level of respect from the players towards him. They enjoy working with Scotland, they enjoy the training. You can sense it just being, if you're around the squad, if you're travelling with them. I think you can see it in the park. I think, and what is coming through now is they're playing some very, very good football. Playing really enjoyable and at times very exciting brand of football. They're pretty solid at the back. I think you know, David Marshall's emergence has been great, and it's remarkable to think that the level of goalkeepers, standard of goalkeepers we have right now. I think Martin and Hanley have worked well as a partnership. I think Grant Hanley has his moments.
But he was lucky on Friday night.
He should have been sent off, yeah. And he's been, he's a master of recovery. You know, he makes these mistakes, but incredibly gets back very quickly to rescue the situation. I just think he's got a good balance going there. He's actually got a much stronger squad to choose from than he has. And you know, you think of the players that a lot of us would say, oh, I'd like to see him in. Players that haven't been given a chance. But he's loyal, and he's getting the reaction from the players, and most importantly, he's getting his results. The Ireland game was so crucial. I mean, we had started the campaign well, I don't think we necessarily done anything wrong, but other teams, Poland and Ireland, were doing better than us. And if we had failed to win that game, I think it would have been a really difficult 4 months, leading through to the next one. I think that's just given everybody a real lift. It's going to be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I can see the 2 games against Poland and Ireland being pivotal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If you set aside the West Germany game, the Poland and Ireland games are going to be pivotal to what happens.
Yeah.
So perhaps come next summer we'll have a better idea of what's going to pan out. Do you think that there's a realistic chance that they will pick up one of the top 2 slots?
I think Poland's start has made that more difficult, but if they lose to Ireland, if we beat them, then that gap is closed, isn't it? Excuse me. So, and it's worth also. I mean, the first deciding factor is head-to-head. We've got the draw in Poland, so if we beat them in Scotland, then we know that we're ahead of them there. Should we land up level on points? I mean, yeah, I've got to be optimistic simply because of the way we're playing and the fact that I think generally the setup is a good, strong, positive one right now. But there's just that wee niggling doubt that's been there because of the successive failures over many, many years. I think the tools are there, I think the players are there, and it's it's almost in the lap of the gods. One thing for sure, this isn't going to be sorted out in advance of the last lot of fixtures.
Yeah.
Because we play Gibraltar.
Yeah. One final question about Scotland, and this will not air until after we've played England. What do you think is going to happen against England at Celtic Park?
I haven't really given it an awful lot of thought because I was so hooked up on that Ireland game. I mean, England really was something of an afterthought. I did enjoy the game last year then at Wembley. I thought we did okay. They missed a lot of chances. But overall, we came in with that 3-2 defeat. I don't think we'll lose. I don't think we'll lose that game. So I have egg in my face by the time.
You'll see whether you're egging your face in the next few weeks. Finally, Richard, if I can ask you about the SPL and the way that it has panned out so far this season. From a neutral fan's perspective, I have to say that we were bitterly disappointed in your Dons not beating Celtic at Pittodrie a couple of weeks ago, because they were there for the taking.
Yeah.
And generally, most Scottish football fans think that Celtic this year are not the force that they were, and that there's a chance and a possibility that the SPL is wide open, and just wondered what you felt yourself.
I think Celtic will go on and win it. I think they're stronger right across the squad, and I think what you're seeing now is them finally beginning to build up a bit of momentum. There have been a couple of occasions where you think that's it, they're about to really take off, and then they've stalled again. Get the sense that they will continue to stay. Well, they'll stay at the top of the table. I think they'll go on. I don't think they'll win it by the huge margin that the top flight has been won in recent seasons. But it is more competitive, and Aberdeen shouldn't have lost that game. It was a criminal defensive error right at the very end, and they had the chances to win it. And there is frustration. Clearly, there's frustration at Aberdeen because they know how close they were, and it would have made a huge difference not just to us, but as you say, to the other teams in the top half. Had Aberdeen won that, it would have struck a real blow. And Celtic have looked more vulnerable, but I just think they are getting stronger. Right. I think we're seeing it just beginning to change. It'll be fascinating. I mean, Caley Thistle have been wonderful. Hamilton made a great start, slipped away the last few weeks. Dundee United, without hitting top form, have also been top of the table. So you've got the top 7 teams, including Kilmarnock, separated by 6 points right now. Now that'll widen, but it's been a breath of fresh air. I mean, I think I've thoroughly enjoyed Dundee. I think it's been surprising to see Motherwell quite as far down. I thought it might be more of a struggle for them this year, and I was sad to see Stuart McCall go. But they presumably will benefit from the new manager coming in. I think it could be very, very tight at the bottom in much way as it was for the playoff place. This time round, I think it'll be very competitive for both the relegation and playoff place.
So who do you think is going to be embroiled in that?
I think it depends. I mean, I think St Mirren are really struggling. They've missed Stephen Thompson. That's been the big hit for them. When he gets back, you have to imagine that they become more of a goal threat. But you just wonder, unless they start to pick up a few results, I think the confidence erodes further. So I would fear for St Mirren. I think Ross County have shown signs. That was a big win for them against.
Thanks, Richard. We were trying to wipe that from our memory back.
Big win for them, and it'll be interesting to see how they kick on from that. You know, beyond that, it's. I mean, you've got 3 teams within. So you've got Motherwell 10 points, the other 2 within 3 or 4 points of them. It is still very tight. I mean, it's easy to kind of look and say, oh, they're the bottom 5 right now are detached. But a couple of weekends can sort that out. So I think once we get into January, February, we've got a clearer idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of games through December, January. You know, so finally, in respect of the Scottish game, who do you think is going to win the cups then? I know you'll say Aberdeen for one.
Well, you know what? I think Aberdeen are going to successfully defend the Scottish League Cup, and I've actually had a good record recently of tipping teams to win the League Cup. I think I tipped Kilmarnock.
Really?
I tipped St Mirren. I tipped Aberdeen.
Honestly?
Aye.
Did you put money on it?
No, of course not. You never do that. It's all just a bit of a wind up at the start of the season. So I think I'll go for Dundee United to come back and win the Scottish Cup. So it's Aberdeen for the League Cup, Dundee United for the Scottish Cup.
Okay, Richard, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much for giving up your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
As a payback